What if your local mayor was secretly taking orders from a foreign superpower? Well, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into a story that honestly feels like it was ripped straight out of an espionage thriller. But here's the crazy part. This didn't happen in some movie. It happened in a quiet, everyday American city. We're unpacking a recent Department of Justice investigation that has completely turned a local community upside down. It's a massive web of local politics, international interests, and a double life hidden right in plain sight. And that chilling reality? That's exactly what the residents of Arcadia, California, woke up to. Seriously, this isn't some hypothetical scenario we're drumming up. This is a documented federal case. So today, we're going to crack open the evidence, walk through the timeline, and look at the exact mechanics of how foreign influence literally infiltrated a local U.S. government. Okay, let's look at the two sides of this coin. On one side, you've got the public persona, Eileen Wang. In November 2022, she was elected to the City Council of Arcadia, which is this really quiet Southern California town of about 50,000 people. She was just handling the day-to-day stuff of a mid-sized American municipality. But on the flip side, there was a completely hidden reality. Long before she ever took the oath of office, Wang was actively operating as an unregistered, illegal agent for the People's Republic of China. She completely failed to notify the U.S. Attorney General about this relationship, which, as you might guess, is a massive violation of federal law. And recently, that double life totally imploded. On Friday, May 29, 2026, Eileen Wang stood in a Los Angeles federal court and officially pleaded guilty. Before U.S. District Judge Wesley Hu, she admitted that she was acting as an illegal agent for the Chinese government. She confessed to taking direct orders from the PRC and intentionally hiding the fact that she was posting content on Arcadia's own channels at the direction of a foreign superpower. Right now, $25,000 is the magic number. That's the bond amount currently keeping her out of jail. So she remains free under those conditions until her sentencing rolls around on October 6th. But, while she's out on bond, the federal court documents have laid bare all the stunning details of what she was actually doing in the shadows during those years. And it's pretty wild. Now, you might be wondering, how on earth does a local official actually run a covert foreign propaganda machine? Well, the DOJ gave us the exact step-by-step playbook. Step 1. A PRC official reaches out to Wang and her associates using an encrypted messaging app called WeChat, and they send over specific directives and pre-written news articles. Step 2. Wang and her team take that content and translate it for their local audience. Step 3. They hit publish. They use this website called the U.S. News Center. It was totally designed to look like a legitimate grassroots news source for the local Chinese-American community. But in reality, it was just a faux agency set up to launder foreign propaganda. So what kind of narratives were they pushing? The federal documents highlight this one really specific, chilling example. They pushed an essay into local channels, even referencing the Los Angeles Times to seem legit, that explicitly stated, there is no genocide in Xinjiang. There is no such thing as forced labor in any production activity, including cotton production. The pre-written narrative basically claimed that spreading those rumors was just designed to defame China. So Wang was taking these highly sensitive, geopolitically charged directives straight from a foreign government and just injecting them right into the American media ecosystem. And here is a detail that just brilliantly shows you what modern espionage actually looks like. It's not all shadowy parking garages. Sometimes it's literally just a group chat. After Wang's team posted that propaganda piece, the Chinese government officials replied in their WeChat group with this exact message. So fast, thank you everyone. I mean, think about how mundane that sounds. It sounds like a middle manager thanking their team for getting a spreadsheet done on time. It just really hits the nail on the head regarding how routine, coordinated, and transactional this whole illegal operation was. Receive an assignment, execute it, get politely thanked by your handlers overseas. But guys, the plot thickens, because this isn't just about a lone rogue politician. Enter you-knowing Mike's son. He's a 65-year-old guy from Chino Hills, and he was definitely not just a casual bystander. He was Wang's campaign advisor during her run for the Arcadia City Council. But wait, it gets crazier. He was also her fiancé. The two of them were working in lockstep, collectively receiving and executing these directives from China. It adds this incredibly profound, complicated layer of personal proximity to the espionage. Of course, when federal investigators start breathing down your neck, personal relationships tend to fracture. Wang and Sun actually ended their engagement in the spring of 2024. After Wang resigned as mayor, Sun's attorneys released a highly revealing statement that gives us a peek into their defense strategy. They claimed the whole situation happened because of, quote, her trust and love for apparently the wrong person who ultimately led her astray. So they are actively pointing fingers at the complicated personal dynamics here, basically suggesting she was manipulated by the very guy managing her political campaign. When you actually map out the timeline, the true scope of this deception becomes crystal clear. From late 2020 all the way through 2022, Wang and Sun are actively running this illegal propaganda operation. Then, right at the tail end of that, in November 2022, Wang gets elected to the city council. Now, her attorneys and city officials have really stressed that her indiscretions supposedly concluded before she officially became mayor. But the timeline doesn't stop there. Because in April 2023, while she's a sitting council member, the conspiracy escalates drastically. And here is where the story shifts from local grassroots propaganda to high-stakes international espionage. In April 2023, the then president of Taiwan visited Southern California. According to the federal findings, Mike's son didn't just write fake news articles anymore. He actively surveilled the Taiwanese president during this visit. He was literally tracking a world leader on American soil and reporting her movements directly back to PRC officials. This is a massive escalation. They went from laundering articles to acting as active intelligence assets for a foreign superpower right in their own backyard. So what does all of this mean for the everyday people who actually live there? Well, the fallout in Arcadia has been pretty intense. You've got a city of 50,000 people who, just want their trash collected, their streets paved, and their parks maintained. Instead, they wake up to find out their highest local office was tangled up in an international espionage ring. Even though the crimes mostly happened before Wang was sworn in as mayor, the residents were absolutely furious. A lot of locals felt like when the allegations first bubbled up, the city government was just way too dismissive of the whole threat. To be fair to the city's perspective, we really have to look at the response from acting Mayor Paul Cheng. When people asked why the city didn't act sooner, Cheng explained that their hands were basically tied. He said, and I quote, "If there is a federal investigation that is in place, we are not investigators, and to politicize an issue only impacts whatever federal investigation is out there." So the council essentially took a defensive posture. They stepped back to let the Department of Justice do the heavy lifting without getting in the way of an active federal probe. But look, you don't play international spy games without facing some severe consequences. And on February 9th, 2026, Mike's son faced his. 48 months, 4 full years in federal prison. That's what he was sentenced to serve for acting as an illegal agent of the Chinese government. The DOJ absolutely made an example out of him here. They wanted to show that leveraging a local political campaign to run foreign intelligence operations carries a heavy, unyielding penalty. And for Eileen Wang, the stakes were even higher. 10 years. That is the maximum federal prison sentence she's staring down right now for her guilty plea, as she waits for her October 6th sentencing. On top of a potential decade behind bars, she's also looking at 3 years of supervised release. Her political career, over. Her public reputation is completely shattered, and her freedom is quite literally hanging by a thread. We often think of international espionage as something that only happens in embassies in Washington, D.C., or in classified military briefings. But this case proves that foreign influence campaigns are actively targeting the lowest, most accessible rungs of the American political ladder. So I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. If a local mayor in a quiet California town of 50,000 people can be secretly directed by a foreign superpower to push propaganda and aid in surveillance, how vulnerable is your own city hall? It's a question every local community now has to ask itself. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep questioning what's happening right in your own backyard.